Cool. So, last time out, you were sailing away from the scene of the Kraken fight. Thankfully, your ship only sustained minor damage, and through the efforts of Rambear and Balthazar, kind of kept everything together and travelling at a decent speed. The next few days, various conversations were had between each of you and members of the surviving crew. Some of you had some conversations with benefactors. Some of you had nightmares of questionable benefactors. Eventually, the towering statue that is the Warden of the Isle crested the horizon, signalling safe harbour. And upon docking upon the shores of Whitecliff, Captain Summerfall offered gracious thanks, friendly advice, and even a job to vent if you wanted it, who did politely decline, not wishing to set foot on the sea ever again. What followed was a few hours of you all taking a little bit of a break from each other after being cooped up on the same ship for nearly a week. Some of you went and got some shopping in, a couple of commissions, bucket load of hats for a magical Peacock. Lastly, Faendal, while looking for a place to stay that more befitted his finer taste than the shoreline bed and breakfast that had been recommended to him, he stumbled into a bookshop following a woman wearing familiar green and white robes. This woman recognised him upon sight and by name, and proceeded to have a handful of questions before deciding these talks should probably happen somewhere more private rather than in a bookshop on the high street. The rest of you were later found by a top hat wearing Peacock, directing you to a shorefront property. But we pick up as the sun is setting upon the white buildings of the city, casting them a deep ocean blue. Clouds begin to roll in and the air is thick with the promise of rain. And we pick up in a relatively well-equipped, modest shorefront house, with Faendal talking to the blonde elf of, apparently, the Serenity Library. So, I mean, we can talk now, or we can wait for your friends to arrive. It's really up to you. I can make some tea.
Tea would be lovely. I think if there's things happen, it's best that they are aware.
That is fair enough. Hopefully they get here soon. She gets up and heads up into the small kind of kitchen area and starts making some tea. The room you're in is, as I say, modestly appointed. Decent enough that it's not kind of simple hotel bed and breakfast style, but not so nice that this is where someone would actively live all the time. By your best guess, it's kind of like a temporary crash pad for apparently members of the Serenity Library when they are doing work or information gathering within Whitecliff itself, or potentially waiting for a ship to head to the mainland. Is there anything you would like to do?
Oh, me. Sorry, repeat what you said. I was on there.
No worries. So yeah, it's a modestly equipped a house, kind of a large dining cum sitting room, and a couple of bedrooms as well as a kitchen. Designed for members of the library to have a crash pad if they're waiting to head offshore or gather things from the city that may take a couple of days, kind of thing, rather than having to head back and forth from the library.
I have nothing particular to do, so I'll read some books off the shelves. I assume are there.
There's a few, yeah. It doesn't appear to be anything kind of spectacular. It's more than anything kind of historical records or collations of records of history kind of thing. Nothing particularly pass away the hours material, essentially. While you're waiting, Thrungi, you arrive along this shorefront and can spot the building that the Peacock had kind of directed you towards. The door is shut, but there are lights on in the building. It's not too far from the pier that had the briny tankard, which you can see just through like the gathering mist on the shoreline. Has a decent plume of smoke coming out this central chimney. Numerous lights and a fair bit of noise that's carrying across the harbour. But yeah, you are approaching the building that you were directed towards. Is there anything you would like to do?
Oh, sorry. No. I'm going to drink and listen. And
So
is Nyah there?
you are currently on the street, approaching the house.
Oh, sorry. I thought we got there. Sorry, I misheard and forgot what had happened last session.
All zoning out.
For the second time,
Two choices.
you are
Hero plot.
you are approaching the house. The mist has gathered on the harbour front, but you can make out the briny tankard a short while away,
Cool.
which has a large plume of smoke coming out the top, numerous lights, and a decent amount of noise and merriment, essentially, echoing across the harbour. But you can also see the house that you're directed towards, which has a kind of noticeable green glassed light out front that is kind of essentially the landmark you were given to head towards.
I'm going to go to the pub first.
Okay.
Walk in and walk up to the bar.
Right, it is packed in here. Like it is 3 deep at the bar. Every tavern is every like table has got multiple people around it. People leaning on walls and everything. There's a couple of bards and minstrels around. Yeah, it's bouncing, shall we say? You eventually work your way to the bar through everyone, and above the noise you see the brawny half-elf that you saw previously, with the missing lower left arm. Alright, what can I get you?
What's your strongest beer?
We've got some stuff, old stuff we got from Kisduman's a while back. Not sure how good it is anymore, but not many dwarves out here drinking it.
How many barrels have you got?
Couple, I think. Nothing tapped, but yeah.
Can I take an entire one tapped?
I mean, are you sure? You don't really have the room to carry a barrel out of here right now.
Meet round back?
I do not have time to go around back. If you're going to order anything, grab an order.
Planning on taking it with me.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. I can make far more money selling it by the pint. Do you want it then?
No, because I was willing to offer you the cost of per pint, but fine.
Well, sorry. As you can see, we're kind of busy, and I don't have time to go down to the cellars and grab you out a barrel and bring it up.
Fine, and then I leave.
Those fucking dwarves. And he goes back and just starts serving other people.
Then I head up to the house.
Okay. As you're kind of getting up to the house, that mist is starting to turn into actual precipitation. And like as you kind of as you're leaving the briny tankard, like it's starting to kind of rain down onto the roof, and you can hear it kind of echo inside tavern a little bit before you kind of head along the pier and back to the house. You knock on the door, Faendal. You hear the knock, and the woman who's introduced herself as Rendy Casono. She goes, do you mind getting that? I assume that's one of your compatriots. I'm just finishing up the tea in here.
Oh,
called?
What? Sorry?
You called?
Yeah, if you just come in, take a seat, we'll wait till everyone's arrived.
Is there alcohol?
There's tea.
I think that's a no then. I go, find an armchair, find a footrest, and bring out the tankard.
Feeling better then?
Good as can be, all things considered.
And I go back to reading the book, and Thrungi drinks himself asleep.
A short while afterwards, as you begin to hear rain start to land on the glass. It's a bit light at this point, but it's definitely got the sense of it becoming heavier.
Can I prestidigitation a little glowing mark on the door, so just to let people know which one to look at?
Yeah, sure. Just as that, Vent, Rambear, and Balthazar, you all kind of conveniently converge on the street almost at the same time. Vent, you're kind of there with rain hitting your head and faintly sending up bits of steam as the big bear kind of looms up behind you. And then Balthazar, you're a few feet back and you spot the large shape of Rambear in the backlit essentially by a flaming head, and you rush up to meet them as you kind of head onto the main thoroughfare on Bayfront.
Does the rain hiss as it hits Vent's head?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure.
Hi, could we get inside? It's not pleasant.
Does it hurt?
We know where we're
Doing a
going.
little-
It's more like somebody poking you in the head.
Roll.
Fine.
Nah, that's fine. Rambear, you can definitely hear it even over the rain. The briny tankard at this point is loud. It's amazing how far the sound carries even through the rain as you kind of walk past it.
I'm going to turn to Balthazar and ask odds on Thrungi being in there.
Before I answer that, have we seen the Peacock yet?
Yeah,
Direct-
so the Peacock is what
Okay.
essentially directed you towards this place.
Oh yeah, Rambear's also got hats spilling out of their arms.
Most likely. But he's got that tankard, doesn't he? So maybe he's already where we're going.
And odds on? Put a silver piece on it.
I mean, he seemed pretty annoyed and he likes to drink, so yeah, sure, he's probably in the tanker. He's probably in the tavern.
I think so too. All right. Balthazar, 1 silver from us if he's in there. Two from you if he's not.
Sure, go for it.
I'm just
Easy
holding
money.
my book above my head at the moment now, just...
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, head over to the door, which now has a little star in the doorway.
Yeah.
Very biblical.
There's another knock at the door, Faendal, but this time Rendy heads off his office. Don't worry, I've got it. Heads down, and it seems like the three of you or something to say, oh, okay. I thought the dwarf was weird. Please, come in. I'm Rendy. You are?
Vet, love to meet you, I say as I duck in quickly.
Just be careful with that. We do have some books in here that I'd rather not see get destroyed.
Yep, that's fine.
Thank you. Bear? I'm Rendy. You are? Sorry.
Put my hand out to Rendy and then look at my fur and then do a little and then go for it again. I'm there.
A pleasure. Thank you. I might have some questions for you later, if you don't mind. I must stay attention. And Dragonborn, please please come in. Out of the rain, out of the rain. Shuttering shuts the door. She goes, can I have your name? Sorry.
Balthazar.
Balthazar, wonderful. We're in the city room. Is this all of you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Not quite.
Not quite. We're waiting for one other. Okay. Well, hopefully they even get here soon. Doesn't look like it's going to get much drier. You're shown into the city room, and it's starting to run out of space. Like, it wasn't designed for this many people, so some of you are going to have to stand. But you're in there. Faendal's reading a book. Thrungi is probably a pint in at this point.
I'll just take some tea if it's offered and sit down as well.
Rambear's also going to grab teeny tiny little teacup.
Wonderful. I believe there's one more. Is there anything anyone has any immediate pressing questions or things that they need? Maybe a bit of drying off? I'm not sure.
Do you have a towel?
Yes.
Small one, just mainly for my face.
Yes, of course. She heads off into a spare room and comes back with a couple of towels. Almost like she's thinking ahead for the last person to arrive. Is probably going to need a couple more. Here. You are.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's a wonderful story behind.
It's not wonderful, but there is a story.
We accept all at the library. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Didn't expect to be dealing with this today or ever. I'm a little out of my depth.
Faendal, who is she? She's very beautiful. She's very sweet. But who is she?
This person knows me. Apparently, I don't know her. We'll wait for Nyah to arrive before
We
getting
know
more
you.
out. Yeah, you know me, Rambear. I know you too. Very close, Rambear. This person knows me from my past life.
To provide a brief answer until everyone is present. I'm Randy Casono. I'm one of the chief aides to Great Reader Alchrist up at the Serenity Library. I knew Master Indolan when he himself was at the library as well. And I think that'll do for now.
Rindolan.
Oh, I've got so many questions. What colour was his hair?
It's always been
Bald.
like this since I've known him.
I have more questions. You're actually from the library. This is great, Faendal. You're actually from the library.
Apparently so.
Oh, this is just serendipitous.
You could say so. It's at that point, Nyah, we cut to you walking through the very well put together streets that have wonderful side rivulets. I mean, the roads aren't covered in rain. You are absolutely soaked as the rain has turned into a downpour. You can barely see 10 feet into the bay. The rain has become that thick. Just like you can just about make out the faint glow of firelight through the fog that was in the direction of a bar at the end of a pier. Not a clue at this point. You're heading towards it. Fortunately, the Peacock is with you and actually navigating you through the fog and the heavy rain down the main street, and you do come to a building with a green light out the front and a very familiar symbol on the front that you associate with Faendal.
Enough image.
Okay, yeah, I'll peer from under my cloak and go, okay, knock on the door.
Very, very meeting at Bree.
I sincerely hope that is our last guest, and we can get the evening underway. She opens the door. She sees you. She's like, oh, dear, please, come in, out of the rain.
You are.
I'm Randy Casono. I'm a former friend of Faendal, Master Rendolan. Introductions can be done inside. Please come in.
I'll walk in and take my very drenched cloak off.
She takes it off you and hangs it like on a hook by the door. Where I can draw just door. Yes, in front of you, just as a reminder for everyone, is maybe a mid 4th century female elf, high ponytail of blonde hair, which is kind of held together by a green ribbon, and she's wearing deep green and white robes with kind of some stitch detailing into the shoulder work. Right. Master Rendolan did want all of you present, so I believe you are last one, so I think we can start answering some questions. I think everyone has some. Please, we're in the living room, and she shows you in. Everyone is in there, in various states of drying off.
Nyah, come over here and sit by my head. Warm people up a bit quicker.
I'm just on top of his hair, like.
Like a Dyson hand dryer.
I have my cube. Well, oop.
It's not exactly cold in here. Like it is a nice temperature. It's just some people are a bit damp.
Faendal will only be happy when it's uncomfortable for everyone.
Randy eventually kind of takes a seat and picks up a cup of still warm tea. Right. I suppose, out of courtesy, does anyone have any questions before I start?
Just to clarify, you said that you know who Faendal is.
Well, I knew of a person of this exact appearance who responded to the name Faendal. So yes. In fact, do you turn to you, Faendal? Do you mind if I just make sure?
Oh.
And she begins to wave her hands, and it's in a fairly known kind of gesture to you of this is a dispel magic directed at you. And just okay. That didn't change anything, so that's good. No illusion magic, so hopefully you are who I think you are. Yes. Master Rendolan was a member of the Serenity Library up until about a year and a half ago, when he went missing. I say member, he was in fact one of the 8 great readers of the library who is... So his disappearance was noticed, shall we say.
That tracks with when I woke up.
If you don't mind me asking, woke up where?
It's a few weeks are still a bit foggy, but the earliest I can remember is waking up in a bed in a farm in rural Cironde.
It is a long way from Kiron. And you have no idea how you ended up there?
None whatsoever.
Well, that's helpful. Okay, let's just try to cement some details. So, do you remember Kiron in any way?
In flashes, in big memories, I remember a library. I remember the great towers in the bay.
That
Nothing
sounds.
to it.
That sounds like the Serenity Library. Okay. Well, I have many questions, but I get the feeling if you don't remember how you ended up in Cironde, you probably don't have any memory of what happened causing your disappearance. Because, I mean, opinion is split at the library. Some people believe your experimentation and research got you unceremoniously killed by things that probably should be left alone. Some less gracious or respectful folk just believed your body is dead in your private sanctum, and yeah, we haven't actually been able to get in, so we don't really know.
Still untouched. Do you know what I was researching?
Yes.
What was?
Wow. You don't remember what your title was or anything?
Someone has referred to me as Magister.
Yes. Well,
I don't remember. I
commenter. Okay. Let me explain to you. So, the Serenity Library has varying levels of seniority. The lowest level of title members being the Great Readers. Above that, you then have the First Reader, and then lastly, the Keeper of Tongues. You yourself were one of the 8 Great Readers, specifically specialising in magic, curses, and the fabric of the weave itself. Quite a prestigious position, and were quite well respected in your fields of research. And I mean, everyone has their friends and their rivals, but for the most part, I think you were well liked. Skoda, the First Reader, and Janusi both equally respected you well enough, so that's good. There was one delicate matter that you were quite considerably interested in, much to the chagrin of the majority of the council. Have you ever heard? And she turns to all of this point. Have any of you ever heard of the Lost Library, also known as the Great Library of Eritrea? At all? Anyone can make a history check.
Thrungi is not paying any attention. I rolled a 1.
I don't think any of us know how to read. He's Vent here.
You're far more
18.
interested in your mug.
9.
Faendal, would it trigger? I assume it will trigger with Faendal's. No, yeah.
Roll me a history check anyway.
I got an 18, Gethin.
18, thank you.
20, 30.
Vent and Faendal, you have heard of the Lost Library. Faendal, it springs something in your mind. Vent, it is part of your interest in the Serenity Library itself has brought up the existence of this myth. And to most, it is just that. It is a myth. It is a story of a library which contained all of Akalian's knowledge and history, myriad of ancient societies, records and items and all manner of things, and it was splendid to behold. Over time, it is believed that it was just the story, a story where people brought the concept of a god's home domain into the real world as a bit of fanciful existence on Kiron when people didn't know what was there. Faendal in your head, all of that is there, but you're also of the opinion that it wasn't myth, that it did exist. You don't know why you have that feeling, but you do.
I mean, it's a fairy story. It's the Cave of 1,000 Wishes. It's it's Babylon. It's the idea of something where all the knowledge of everything is. It's ridiculous.
Most myths have their art in truth.
It's a cave of 1,000 wishes. We
They-
must find a cave.
No, it's a story. It's a story. It's a fantasy story.
Yes.
It's like a big library.
Yes, well, most all people believe it is a story. It is one that many of us would love to believe is true, but there is no proof of such a thing. And so, most of us are happy to go about our lives collecting, especially the Serenity. We essentially fill the void of a myth and making it reality. Master Dolan here, however, was far more interested in actually finding it. Whether that coincided with his other research, no one was exactly. You were quite secretive about everything you did. Whether that was because people chastised you for it or your own personal insecurities, I don't care to guess. But some of us of optimistic opinion, for at least the first few months, believe that you may have found it, and that is where you went. As time wore on, those ideas became fanciful, and the idea that you were simply dead took hold. Which is where the complication comes in, shall we say. 6 months ago, your position was filled by a man called Teles Avoshde, a wonderful reader of magic, the weave and curses. In fact, he spent many years trying to become your protege, however you weren't interested in such things. And he has taken up the mantle, which is where the complication is, because now we have two great readers of the weave and magic and curses, and I think you're beginning to understand the slight level of stress I'm feeling right now.
From the fact only half the time he can remember his own name, I think you're pretty well off.
He's really old.
Well, so I suppose my questions are blocked, shall we say? I mean, I wish to know what happened to you. I suppose I could ask how you ended up here eventually?
A long tale.
That may help. So, is there anything I can answer for you at all? I may be able to help. Are you planning on going up to the library?
Yeah, we have. I mean, Ben has his own reasons. We also have our reasons for bruising knowledge.
Well, in that case, I suppose I can help fill in some blanks that... this is going to be weird, telling a master reader about... a great reader, about how to get into library. Okay. Ven, you would probably know this, she's telling us. In order to gain access to the Serenity Library, you must provide a book or piece of record of history or something that does not currently exist within the library. It's kind of a only the worthy get in kind of thing, which is slightly annoying to many people who come looking for things, and has become increasingly annoying as over the centuries we have most books. So, while Faendal, as a great reader, technically would probably be allowed entry, I'm going to imagine that no one's going to actually believe he is who he is to start with. So, do you have a way to get into the library, each of you?
Do I? I assume I probably researched all this previously as to get
Roll
wrong.
me a history check.
19.
19. You would also be aware of an element of, because of the nature of how difficult it has started to become to provide new texts to the library, if someone is persuasive enough and provides a good enough story, oral stories are being accepted, provided that the library has permission to keep record of them for whatever their purposes are.
I've got my story. I was hoping to make my way in on an oral tradition, as it were, but
Well, if it's the story of how to delicately put this,
yes.
yes, I do think that might be quite unique within the stacks.
Can't anyone else yet, so
I mean, if you aren't, any of you, in a particular rush, I have a few more errands I have to run tomorrow, but I could head up in the afternoon and try and make things a little easier. I can't promise anything, but the green robes help somewhat.
You said that nobody has been able to enter Faendal's chambers, right?
Yes. Right. I suppose, since we're here, I might as well explain. The Serenity Library is split into two parts. There is the open courtyard where researchers and other people who have come to the library to seek knowledge conduct their research, can stay within the taverns there, and make use of the other facilities. And then there are the vaulted towers, which are shut behind and private only to the members of the Serenity Library, the librarians, the record keepers, the readers, and the like. Each great reader has their own tower. There are many towers which are also empty, waiting for future ones. Faendal, Master Indolan's tower, still is there, as is the room which is his personal study. Many mages are paranoid and ensure secure locks on their doors, such that no one enters without their say-so. As it turns out, Master Reader of Magic and Curses, quite good at this. One of the reasons we don't really know what happened to you. And I imagine everyone is going to want to find out, if you are indeed who you say you are.
You could take us then, Faendal. You could try entering your own room, maybe remember who you are.
Faendal is very quiet.
It's a lot to take in, I understand. It's probably not going to get easier. There's probably going to be more questions. So, maybe take the night.
I suppose it will be fun to learn how I died.
everyone gets the opportunity.
Not always great.
No, they fucking don't.
I'm sorry? Have...
There's a whole. What?
Do I want to ask? I think I should. Another time, if you get into the library, let me speak to some of you. You all seem to have interesting stories that maybe you're not quite ready to share with a stranger. It's not late, but I can see some people needing a little bit of a rest. There isn't much space here. You're welcome to kind of find space wherever you can. If you have any
Faendal.
further questions.
Does Faendal get a room here?
I mean, technically, I'm not. We're kind of on the edge of the rules. Yes, this has.
Faendal, this theoretical room of yours, I don't suppose it has a theoretical corner where I could put a theoretical bottle. Thank you.
A bottle?
That's one of the many things I'm going to the library about.
Okay.
Hey, once my taken, you'll have something to read.
Very well.
I always knew I'd be in the book someday.
Now, before I turn in, any further questions from anyone? Or I can let you enjoy your evenings, hopefully.
How do you spell your name?
Ah, I'll put it in chat for you.
Thank you. I got it right.
Well done. Okay.
Thank you.
You're starting to understand the made-up words I come up with.
Sorry.
If there's no further questions, Rendy bids you adieu and heads upstairs to one of the rooms. You were kind of all left downstairs in the living room to your own devices. Some would say the night is still young. Faendal is probably not one of those people. What did I say?
This is great. Faendal, you were high up at the library. This is fantastic.
I think it's less fantastic that I have. I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say there.
That's 600-year-old memory.
If you couldn't forget. Faendal, are you dead?
I think on record.
Wow. I've never met a dead person. Except for... I'm just going to turn to Nyah, I guess. Wait.
Order. I would say that we were hosted very graciously by a dead person.
Oh,
Not
wow.
emotionally.
Graciously. It was a bit scary.
It's scary, but very polite.
Faendal's very lively for a corpse.
We gave you some wine.
He gave me some wine. I still have the wine.
You haven't drunk
It
it yet.
had my name on it.
Exactly. First mention your name.
Yeah. Technically not original name.
Maybe we could find out about him in the library. Wait, that's what we're going to do, basically. What am I talking about?
On the farm bed. Oh, we're gonna find out.
Can we not get in if we don't have? What did I write down for this?
Seems like an individual basis. I mean, you may be a special exception traveling with Mr. Great Reader over here.
Sadly, the only special book I had, I got Rambear to sell, and I don't think that would have counted anyway.
I
The
mean,
magic.
I will state you have a number of books on a portable bookshelf.
I sold them all at one time or another.
Did you?
I
I don't remember you
it.
selling them all.
You kept like one or two.
No, I donated them to the Adamant Citadel.
Oh, yeah.
All them books are in the Adamant Citadel.
Surely we all have stories. We have.
Wow, big for yourself.
Rambear's Rambear's turn to shine. Can you guys do this?
Can I do that, Gethem?
Okay. I'm not
Roll me a sleight of hand check.
Is it in a library
Natural
though?
one.
Natural 1.
I stare at it transfixed, like,
You take 1 point of damage as you bend your finger off.
ah!
He's that person who thinks that they're the same. They're the finger on the same hand, like on the opposite hand, going somehow.
How are you? Ah!
I mean, I was
My
that
finger
kid.
doesn't bend that far.
Can we tell our tale? Can we tell our little story?
The great,
nobody's heard
the great adventures and legacy of Ranram.
the goodest go.
I'm fairly sure the journey of I mean, not to sound a bit crass, I suppose, but the journey of the great reader who couldn't remember they're a great reader back to the library is a pretty impressive journey. I mean, we
Surely
met
among us
the Kraken. We saw the Kraken out there.
Thrungi was inside the Kraken. I don't know how
Thrungi
many
was
people have
inside the
died.
Kraken.
Nyah died twice. Sure, there are people who've died once, but
Between us, we should have enough stories to gain entry. It's just about what we want to reveal and what we don't.
we've obviously also got this.
That's really high class knowledge. So I do really want to share that.
You're right. Sacred bearkin finger thing that only we can do.
I mean, clearly, I'm still trying to do it. Trying to bend that finger back far enough.
What
That'll
what
be
do
like a downtime activity of like practice and training. And
what can we tell them? Do we trust them? Trust them, right?
They're
Yeah.
academics, of course not.
Whatever they're like, I was once one of them. So you can trust me. I like to think you can trust them.
Is there any way that Xenodus could be working with them? Anyway,
I don't think
party
so.
guy. Party guy.
Xenodus has a lot of power right now. But he's not yet powerful enough to
Sorry, who?
holding Kiron.
Who's Xenodus?
Wait.
An old enemy of ours. Can we sense him, by the way, Faendal? Not Faendal, Gethin. I'm Faendal. Faendal.
Wow,
What
man,
memories?
it's getting worse.
Gethin, can we sense the old?
roll me a perception check. The two of you can.
Can we sense the orb?
Yeah, Faendal back there. Maybe that was Sarah's memory.
We're not mentioning orbs around Vent, but
22.
I only got a 13.
Find out. Not really. Your mind is swimming right now. Balthazar. It's faint. It's at a distance. But yeah, you can sense those three southeast.
Same sort of direction as before. Yeah.
Still an ash bar. You guess.
Right, I've got to go downstairs for supper.
Okay.
Just a second.
Just
I'll be
feel
back.
free to leave your camera on.
I will, so it doesn't ruin your thing. But I'll mute the camera.
Yeah, by your estimation, still southeasterly from you. You don't have a coordinate map in your head to know exactly where. But after a couple of weeks of apparently not being on this plane,
Oh yeah, he vanished, didn't he?
you're not sure whether it's reassuring or not that they're back.
I think because they're so faint, I haven't realized that it's off plane. It's sort of just they've gone too far away and come back again. That's what I'm just going to assume.
Fair enough.
We can't sense anything on the island though. Still.
Not on the island, no.
But we're not intending to yet. We got to go and find it in a vault somewhere.
Okay.
Gethin,
Yeah.
given that a lot of my study was looking into sort of would I have come across the name Zenidis possibly?
I'll tell you what, roll a history check.
Very interesting if you did.
Gethin,
Yes.
you know that little symbol of the Oxventurers? That's the top thing on my dice. Natural 20.
For a total of
22.
22.
Wait, was it history?
History, yeah.
Yeah, 22.
22. At best, you heard something like it, maybe, during some of your travels down in Yarqui a couple of months ago. But even then, you're not 100% sure.
He's very dangerous. But all we really know.
I was trying to work out what we actually know about him, but genuinely very little.
We know he's. What we know is he's scary.
He endangered my goat.
Potentially killed a mascot of ours. And he's got a vampire daddy.
Space.
Vampire daddy.
Like, literally all we've seen is we've seen him with an army, and we've seen his baby photos. It's like,
He's a
imagine,
Thing to have on an enemy.
imagine your only experiences of, like, Hitler. Where Hitler, at a speech at the rally in Nazi Germany, and his baby photos. That's it.
It's a weird thing to have on an enemy, I suppose, but who am I to judge?
Also, Hitler is now canon in this world.
Apparently.
He's a very powerful wizard.
He's the reason why here we need to search for things in order to stop him.
Ah, a proper hero's quest.
You could say.
Ah.
Well, that is indeed a quest that you're all on, and sounds very theatrical. Please do try and stop this thing in its army, and something about a vampire daddy.
Well, the vampire daddy's very polite. Don't worry about the vampire.
Good, I suppose.
Faendal, do you have a crush on the vampire daddy?
No, he's
Probably the same
very
age.
polite for them.
You're a sucker for somebody with good manners.
I would say he's probably one of only like 2 or 3 people we've met that is older than Faendal.
It's about the same age as Faendal. They could have gone to school together.
They've got manners from the same era.
I think he's not quite as old as Faendal, is he?
You don't know.
No, but he said something about I recognised his name. It's not
Possibly.
quite that relevant.
I think you've recognised, you've read history on it. Whether that history came before or after you were born,
He's not the oldest person we've met.
no.
He's among them.
There is a clear outline on the oldest person you've met.
There is a very definite oldest person we've met, and he makes Faendal look like a child.
Like a baby.
And he is Rambear's dad.
Tree daddy.
Okay, this is a lot to process.
We're an interesting family.
I think it's the first time you've ever called each other family.
And Brim wasn't here. A grumpy uncle.
So wait. Okay. Rambear, your father's a tree.
My tree daddy. No,
Is
my
it a different sort of relationship to the one I'm imagining here?
No, that's a. Genid is my he's the head of my druid circle. He found me when I was a little cub, wandering through the forest, and taught me how to do all this. I'm just gonna like make loads of pollen come out of their pores. I hope everybody's got like a allergy.
Make constitution saving throws.
Oh, I've done it, man.
Natural one.
You get plus 3 if you
Yeah.
hear me.
3.
But I also got a natural 1.
The person whose head is on fire sneeze.
I got in that one as well.
This is it. This is the TPK.
I didn't know. That's seasonal allergies, guys.
We're all extremely allergic.
What did Faendal get?
Thank you very much.
Faendal got 3. Yeah, wow, you're all apparently allergic to this pollen.
I mean,
Okay, it's like
His eyes start streaming.
Balthazar's a Dragonborn, and I have a literal head that's on fire.
It just gets in my scales. It just
Is this
Well,
from
come out again.
I hope Balthazar's is more itch than sneezing, because that might be dangerous in a library.
Yeah.
There's
Friendly
literally-
comes
Question, the
back with
building
every
win, is it made of wood?
It's alright, if you sneeze and burn something down, at least you've got someone to blame.
Thrungi's fine.
No.
So,
You force people to roll?
what?
Is there a fireplace in this
You
room?
force people to roll?
I can control other people's character sheets as the DM.
Alright, anyway, serious conversations. Faendal's a serious man right now. What's the plan? What's going on? I don't know. My head hurts.
Well, it is the evening. Thrungi is nearly
Drinking.
finished what his tank can do for a day. So might be possibly looking to go elsewhere. Is there anything any of you would like to discuss, ask, show each other right now?
I have a lot more questions about this whole tree daddy thing.
Maybe
We can discuss
head
our
to
own
the pub.
time.
What are we all going to say to enter the library? I think we need to plan that.
Okay. Well, while you're thinking about that, we'll go on break. I'll let you know when we're back, but give some time to think over that, and hopefully Bryn will be back to figure out what rest you're going to do with this evening. So yeah, picking back up, you are still sitting in the living room of the crash pad of the Serenity Library's researchers on the shorefront of Whitecliff. Randy Casono has headed off to bed, suggested that some of you may want to do the same, but also It's not that late in the evening. For those of you who are looking for a bit more activity or encouragement to enjoy yourselves. What would you guys like to do?
I'm just looking out the window at the pouring rain and just like, well, I'm staying in.
Amber's also thinking it's bottle time.
Is there somewhere I can Balthazar can have a shower in this house?
Tide?
No, there is a bath rather than a shower. But to be honest, the shower is probably outside about now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna step out, like strip down to just my trousers and step outside and just get drenched to wash off all this pollen, and then step back in and destroy water to dry myself off.
Someone does wolf whistle as they go past.
There's enough people outside in the pouring rain to wolf whistle.
Yeah, there's just a wolf whistle. You're not sure where it came from. Possibly in an alleyway.
Wolf whistle carries on the wind.
I mean, speaking of carrying on the wind, it's amazing how loud the briny tanker must be loud. For it just, it's quiet, but you can hear it, which is insane. Yeah, Balthazar comes back in, his golden scales glistening in moisture. If any of you were that way inclined.
My fire gets slightly brighter.
Is there anything any of you would like to do?
So I'm thinking of in the library, like as my entry story, about the location of Matuya's temple, so that there's a record of there being a temple to the gods. Okay. But I want to double check that with Matuya to make sure it's okay, and to get angry if I tell people.
Okay. You can head off to find a little bit of a quiet space inside the house and kind of sit there and pray for a little bit. What exactly do you want to kind of put out there in terms of a question?
Should the home of fate be revealed in the world?
Roll me a religion check.
19.
19. You don't get a clear answer or anything.
That'd be too easy.
but something niggles that. In your head, you're fairly sure that would work. That would be knowledge that the library doesn't have. But part of you also, while you're in that kind of prayer meditative state, also thinks that maybe there's a reason somewhere like the library doesn't have that.
That's helpful. Okay.
Oh,
Once people are inside, you can read anything, can't you?
Fine. I'll come down from praying, frustrated as usual. Where's everyone else? Like, is
um,
in the room?
did we make notes on when we banished the demon from her sword?
We did. Because we had to make notes for the guy. So.
That feels like knowledge that the library might not have already.
That's one. We need many of the other. 7.
6.
I'm not good at that.
It could be something more abstract, right? The library doesn't have knowledge about what it feels like to slay lots of tiny little baby fairy dragons. Hey, Thrungi? Huh? Balthazar? Huh?
I didn't kill them, I don't think.
No?
I didn't initiate the fight with them. Definitely not.
how it feels to slaughter some innocent children, dragonlings.
I'll be honest, getting into the library isn't my big worry.
What's your big worry?
Knowing myself and preparations and stuff, and how brutal we have all been in the past. There will be traps on my inner sanctum that will be potentially scary. From a time when I was more powerful than I am right now.
We're great with traps. We have that crowbar. We've done so well with the crowbar.
Crowbar.
You know, potentially my ego was so large I didn't consider a simple crowbar. And perhaps the wizards at Kiron are the same. They never tried a simple crowbar.
Trusty crowbar. All you need.
All they tried is different kinds of magic.
Like fools.
By just opening the door.
I forgot to lock it on my way out.
No one has tried to turn the handle.
All the other wizards are too scared. Like, oh, it can't be that simple.
Well, they've obviously got detect magic, so they can see there's all the protection spells there, so they're just like, yeah, let's just not touch it.
He was a very good wizard. He knows what he was doing. So, Faendal, do you think, like, about this, what was it called? Library, Lost Library? Do you think you found it?
No. I feel like I would be more sure of myself if I found that, and I don't know. I don't know, something happened. I feel what I found is the opposite. I was looking for the Library of All Knowledge and lost all the knowledge I had.
Maybe it took it from you.
Maybe that's what you have to pay to gain entry. Ooh.
Library.
I don't know.
Vault.
Why do you think... Now you know a bit more about your past, Faendal, do you know why you might have disappeared?
I can't believe it was my own will. Something must have happened. And some things have sent me to Celestia. It's unsure. It's still there. It's just on the tip of my brain's tongue.
I was going to turn to Thrungi. Are you planning on going out tonight?
We'll see what happens.
The tavern up the way sounded pretty rowdy.
It was.
Oh, you've already been through and I imagine cleared them all out.
No, they didn't want my coin.
Ah. That's odd.
We could always find a different tavern. I'm aware that Thrungi still kind of hates me, so I'm gonna be like,
Who knows what there is in this elf town? Probably don't know good beer anyway.
find something.
I don't know. Port Town is where you're going to get all the imports.
I've had a good
A
eat.
wider selection. But, I will not be joining you guys tonight. I feel like the day's learnings have made me prize what few memories I have.
Understandable.
I mean, I've tried some previously, so they've at least some elf beer is probably okay.
Yeah,
But it's a bit.
Maybe
it's a bit-
chalk. And it does an arcane umbrella ability. I don't know what that is or how it works. I'm assuming.
Let's have a look.
I don't know where the notes for that are.
It should be on
I've just got it as listed as a like text at the bottom of my inventory. I don't
The
think
thing
it's-
was from before about online.
Creates an arcane umbrella 10 foot above the symbol. It covers a 10 foot radius in which it stays dry from natural rainfall.
You cut out at the beginning of that. Can I move it around, or is it just
Depends
where I make it?
Depends where you draw the triangle.
If you draw a triangle on their head,
Don't think that would work.
why not?
His head is literally fire.
You could draw the triangle on his body.
On my face.
You said on his head.
I did, you're right.
Draw it on his forehead.
Oh, there would have to be a bit
How
of
much
match.
forehead does he have?
I mean, it does say directly above the triangle, so if you're on a head,
I'm not
it's
gonna
going
know.
to be 10 foot that way.
You could draw a triangle
I
on
mean,
his shoulder, because if it's a 10-foot diameter, it will definitely get all of him, no matter where it's placed.
If you actually more than 10 feet away from me, yeah.
That also changes on the definition of above.
Also, Stephen, before
Yeah.
I forget, can you roll me a sleight of hand check?
Set a hand. 12.
12. Okay.
No, it's still nice.
The way I think I might turn in with one of the 3 books that I currently have in my bottle. Hello. I have room for everybody.
If there's a bed in there, I would not mind joining.
There's large cushions,
There's
and it's free.
Rambear's gonna flick a silver piece to Balthazar. Oh, I was wrong. He was already in here. He was already in here when we arrived. Remove that from my inventory.
I'd completely forgotten about that already.
Yeah. Balthazar, here you go. Oh, another one over to you.
Can I have a look around this building to see if there are any just normal umbrellas?
Sure, roll me an investigation check.
And I'm playing with my tiny goats.
Dirty 20.
20. Yeah. There's 2 umbrellas by the front door.
Oh, yeah, cool. I'll grab one and say, does anyone want the other one?
So are we not able to stay here for the night? I'm guessing this got said.
So it was said that it's a bit murky whether Faendal is technically allowed to stay here, because he is part of the library, but he's also believed dead, so isn't part of the library. It's confusing. Vent had asked Faendal whether his room would have space for a small bottle. It's up to you.
Seems to be having to chuck it in an alleyway. I've done it before.
Can you move that bottle around when it's active?
Oh no, we're inside it.
Yeah. Okay. Just put everywhere in and just carry them down the street.
No, I have to go in the bottle as well to let you all in. Otherwise, you
That
sort of
makes sense.
survive.
Yeah.
You could open a place and just rent out one room for the bottle for the rest of us. Faendal, you could obviously stay here. You can come back in the morning.
I mean, the point she said was it's murky about whether I could stay here. But we could definitely just stick a bottle somewhere in this house.
Put it on the mantelpiece or something.
In the morning, everybody's settling down for breakfast. 6 random people appear.
Is that what you guys want to do? You guys just want to head to bed? Does anyone wanting to go out? Do anything else?
Oh, in the rain.
So,
I mean, you have a
I
boat.
I've got
Sad, complicated of life.
I've got an umbrella if anyone wants to go for a walk. I've got bottles of umbrellas.
Thrungi is currently still sat in the armchair with a footrest, drinking another tankard.
I was going to say, how many? It's got 3 full tankards it can do.
3 tankards a day, 3 pints per tankard.
Yeah. You are probably most of the way through your 3rd one at this point. It's been a long conversation of stuff you didn't really care about.
Yeah, I didn't say he was drinking heavily, so he's probably sipped it. He's definitely nearly finished a 2nd.
It's going to be the case that if you want another drink, you're going to need to go out.
Sounds like somebody really wants us to leave this place and go to the pub. But it's like the intriguing stores in Vandis. Screw you!
I'm just letting him know. If Thrungi wants to get drunk, he ain't getting drunk here.
Oh, I didn't say he was getting drunk.
Fair enough. So, if nothing else,
Faendal will go for an emotional walk in the rain by himself with an umbrella, contemplating life. Because he doesn't need to sleep.
As he's on his way out, I'll just like shout, I'll keep the bottle open for another 2 hours, and yeah, sleep normally. And you're resting in a bed.
Okay, well, early night. Suppose we do have a big day tomorrow.
okay. So, Vent digs out his bottle. And I'm not entirely sure how the mechanics of it work, but after a short while,
Yeah, technically once I put people in, like that's it, we're in for a while. Until like I let people out, so I can't really come and go. I'm like, are you gonna wait for Faendal or just
Don't
let's get...
wait for me.
Okay, he's being dramatic. Let's get the bottle, shall we? I will commit the 4 who are with me bottle.
you were all in a very plush, open room full of pillows and silk curtains. It is a pleasant temperature, and you all can find a comfy spot to kind of settle down on. Faendal, is there anything you actually want to accomplish while walking around in the rain?
Oh no, it's just an emotional. Thinking about his life, trying to piece together the fragments of his broken mind.
Fair enough.
God, he's so emo.
Yes, I've got a question.
Walks down to the beachfront.
In each bottle of absinthe, how many shots are there?
It's 750. I think I said 750ml bottle originally. So shot is 25ml. So Chris.
30. No, not 30. 60.
60.
Oh,
Oh, no, 30. No, 30. 25 times 3, 75.
Yeah, 30.
30. Okay, that makes more sense. Cool. Once we've all got into the thing...
So, I think his standard size bottle of spirit is 70
It
centimetres.
is only 70, isn't it? Yeah.
So 28 shots per bottle, I would say.
He is right. Thank you, Chris.
I was just redoing my notes because I said half empty bottle, which doesn't tell me how many shots are left.
Yeah.
So I've put bottle and then in brackets how many shots are left in each of the 2 bottles I've got.
Okay.
And then I pull one out and take a swig.
Okay. So the rest of it, you just see Thrungi go into his rucksack and pull out a bottle that you all kind of remember, but
And
a
whiskey.
very murky memory. That's
Except for
sure.
Ben.
And you just see him take a heavy swig of it. Constitution saving throw, please, Bryn.
Yeah, I'll just get the dice. That is... Constitution saving throw.
Yeah.
That is a 28.
28. It's a sudden hit to the system, like you've been nursing beer, and then you've suddenly taken like 100 proof alcohol almost.
Yep.
There isn't much actual flavour to it. It is earthy with a hint of slightly overdone sugar water, like sugar water that's been left a little too long, and it burns, and like you feel it, but it hasn't hit your system quite yet.
Is it not like super aniseedy?
Sure.
No, I mean like in general. Is absinthe like a really like?
You get flavoured
rough-
absinthe. It tends to be, and sometimes it's aniseed.
Yeah.
Tell you what, the 100 proof is quite weak absinthe.
I'm making this shit up as I go. I haven't made alcohol. You all know, I mean, those of you who are there, you all know that this shit was strong as fuck and capable of even knocking
like-
him out.
Does it have a smell? Do we remember the hangover? Is it like when you smell gin and you're like,
To you, definitely. Like, that definitely hits you. And it's, that's the smell of regret. But it was a good night. You do remember it being a good night. It was a fun goblin.
you're gonna have words again in the future with that goblin?
You got something from the goblin, didn't you? That is knowledge that is not potentially
You're
elsewhere.
not there.
I'm not there.
You're being an emo in the rain. Anyway,
Oh
yes,
my
you've all seen
Your emo's
Thrungi
not
just
away.
take the strongest alcohol known to man and barely flinch.
Yep, that's
Oh,
terrifying.
Meant
mean,
to
that's
never
not
had
what
you
happened
don't
last
know
time.
anything about this alcohol. You've never seen this bottle before, you don't know what the label is.
Well, I don't recognise that one.
You gonna share with our guest? Thrungi?
Oh no!
Paul,
I'm not a goblin.
take off. How is it? Is it a cork or is it like a screw cap?
It's cork. Well, no, it would be a screw cap because otherwise it would just be uncorked at this point. You wouldn't be able to get it back in.
Cool. Then I pour a little bit into it and offer it to Vent.
Okay. I suppose.
Make me a Constitution saving throw.
Also, how much
Nice.
is vent is on fire? Like,
Constitution. Great, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, that's a whole ass 11.
A whole ass 11. It hits you, like, as you're taking the shot, the vapours come off and go straight up your nose as well. Like, you suddenly see as some level of alcohol seems to hit the fire on his head. That burn off may or may help you, but your head is suddenly swimming and your throat feels like it's on fire as much as your head.
I don't even have a head. How is this hurting?
Tip the bottle at the rest.
I go and try to find some water.
Upon seeing nobody taking my offer in, I screw it back and put it in my satchel. And go back to my beer.
Not touching that stuff again.
You're all cowards.
Strong that was. So.
I mean, Nyah would have a decent chance of saving against it these days.
I'm not
I just go and I drink a full, 2 pints of water.
It's a
excited.
decent chance. Nyah would have a chance.
What's the DC for it?
You don't know. It's 25.
I
Oh,
thought
is
it was
it?
25 from the last time. I can't even
Okay,
make
yeah, I literally couldn't save that no matter what.
So I
it,
think
it did get reduced for you, Vent, because of the size. But, yeah.
it means reduced to 20.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you can see Vent kind of staggering a little bit as he looks for water around the room. There is a picture of it there. It is your bottle.
Yeah. I take my picture, I move a hand over to the collection of small glasses and give up on that, pick up the picture. It's a liquid. How does it... What? How is it so dry? It's a liquid.
Out of curiosity, can your head actually go out?
You know, I've not tried. I don't really know what's burning, so I don't really know how much fuel there is. I've tried to avoid water mostly. I'm very careful about that.
Are there any others like you?
I don't. No.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Little to wake them when Faendal gets back, just so we know that he's safe.
You've got no idea what's happening outside of this bottle.
We do. You can hear us.
Oh, you can hear outside. Okay, fair.
Nothing outside at all.
If there's nothing else anyone wants to do,
What? One. So, I think I can hear the area outside the bottle.
okay. After a couple of hours, you hear some faint footsteps as Faendal. You assume Faendal comes back into the house. Faendal, you are wet. You did take an umbrella, but umbrellas aren't perfect things. So you kind of probably just prestidigitation yourself dry. The house is very quiet. There is a bottle sitting on the low coffee table in the living room.
Can I just set up a meditation spot next to the bottle?
Okay. You just rearrange some cushions so you've got a bit of comfort. And settle down and start just sitting there in a zenned out state.
Thrungi is snoring now, by the way.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
do that.
And they're snoring.
I mean, Rambear snores as well. That's canon. It's not a quiet room in the bottle anyway.
It's going to be another long night.
This is probably the most peaceful thing I've had in ages.
It is, and it's almost comforting being surrounded by that smell of books, leather and wood and ink on paper. Kind of feels comfortable. Something you haven't had in a while. But the morning comes. Faendal, you wake before anyone else. Interestingly, Rendy gets up a similar time as you. And just didn't feel like using the bed then.
No, I felt we've been on a long adventure. I felt it would be too comfortable, and I've missed being surrounded by books.
There's a certain presence to them, isn't there? Very well. We have a few supplies for breakfast here. Your compatriots coming back?
They're still here, I believe.
Really?
And give them. And how long has it been since you went to bed?
I left you maybe 6 hours or so ago.
Perhaps give them another hour or two. They'll be around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
They
while we wait,
of the younger races. Breakfast would be great.
very well. She heads off into the kitchen and starts making basic kind of oats and oatmeal and that kind of stuff. Nothing spectacular, but simple food. She brings out a bowl for each of you, like sits at the table. It's kind of a little bit of awkward silence. So, as I say, I have a couple of errands to run today. I need to make sure I actually head back to Altchrist with a little bit of news of what's happening on the mainland. Pick up the odd supplies and the like. Is there anything you need to get done before heading up?
Not off of the top of my head. Need to get up there. I could perhaps help you with news from the mainland. We
Indeed.
have been a while.
That would be very helpful. Yes. I mean, it's the reason I was in the paper trail yesterday when we bumped into each other was grabbing some records of recent events. We could obviously do with some knowledge about what happened down in Yarqui a few months ago, and some interesting happenings have been down in South Yarqui and stuff like this. But if I mean, first-hand accounts are always excellent.
I shall regale her with tales of our journey along the border of Yarqui and Ciristia and Vandis. And
as you start, she quickly goes and grabs a notebook from her satchel and just starts kind of scribbling down notes in very good fashion of shorthand. And about halfway through, while you're about to enter Vandis after the whole giant incident, the bottle on the coffee table just begins to glow softly, a kind of amber into red, red into amber, and just slowly seeming to get hotter. Before your compatriots appear suddenly around the table in a little bit of a heap. It's not the most glamorous of exit. Vent manages it quite nicely. He kind of understands what's going on, but it's a bit ungainly for everyone else.
I told you they'd be brown shortly.
Oh, good morning.
Breakfast is prepared for you guys.
Can I just, as quickly as I can, try to put the bottle away before she...
That is a fascinating... I'll tell you what, roll sleight of hand.
21.
21. She doesn't see the bottle, but she goes, that is an intriguing trick. Was that teleportation or some other form of magic? Oh. Fascinating.
Bit of one thing, bit of the other, that sort of thing.
Very well. Something many in the library could make use of. Anyway, yes, I was just telling Master McDolan here. I had a few errands to run. I have at least one book on back order at the paper trail. I'm hoping that they actually have. But a lot of what I was down here to do, Faendal has helped me out with kindly. Is there anything any of the rest of you need to accomplish before heading up to the library?
Accomplish, but I might join you for the paper chase actually to the paper trail. So yeah,
Cheers.
bit more reading material would be quite nice.
Very well, you're of course welcome. Whitecliff has many shops that are useful to those such as yourselves. Nyah, roll me a perception check, please.
Five.
Nothing out of the ordinary. But yes, Rendy's like, oh, very well. Happy to have people accompany me. Of course, the city is your own. Shall we say we'll meet up by the altar at the top of the city before we head out? Aim for midday.
Sounds doable.
You can't miss it. Altar of Teku at the top of the city is quite obvious. See it as you say it.
Teku, you say?
Yes. Patron goddess of Whitecliff and Sapphire Bay, at least. Kind of falls arm in arm with Eritrea, the god of the actual Mediocracy. Why, do you ask? Have you heard of Teku before?
Not hugely, just in passing occasionally.
Oh, it's good to know that she is followed beyond the borders of the bay. I've never met anyone who has. Okay. She goes off to kind of get ready. You guys eat remaining elements of breakfast over the table. Chance for you to discuss if anyone wants to do anything, but if not, you can all head out, do whatever you need to do in the city, or whatever.
I'm literally just looking to buy just a couple of just like somewhat interesting books just to give me something to read on the long.
Keep freezing. You head up to the paper trail with Rendy. It's not extravagant shop. It is a shop full of bookshelves. It's quite dark inside. All the wood is made of dark wood. There's a low level of light given off by some magical lanterns and some very carefully covered candles sitting on tables, making sure that there's no actual open naked flames.
I try to subdue mine as much as possible.
Fair enough.
I feel like you should have gone to the hat shop.
And I just burned the hats.
That would be a great challenge for him.
Inside, while you begin to peruse around, Rendy herself walks straight up to the counter where there is a elf with a very sharp jawline, close-cropped black hair, wearing some like brown and cream robes that look quite kind of mundane and boring, and they start having a conversation, seemingly about a book that was on order and the like. Is there anything in particular you're looking for?
Looking for like an idea of, well, again, just sort of any notes I can find on like fire and magic.
Fair enough. Roll me an investigation check.
21.
21. You find two books kind of detailing specifically one of which is basically a treatise on the existence of flame-based evocation magic, and kind of a discussion on why was fire the most proclivative magic of early mages, that such that it got written down and passed around a lot, kind of the implications that has on society, on cultures as a whole, and the evolution of sentient species. On further read, it may give slightly more intrigue, but that's kind of the general gist of it. Another book does go into kind of harnessing fire magic from the elemental plane of fire. It doesn't go into kind of the premise of how to accomplish it, but kind of historical accounts of people accomplishing said feats, and those who've used it in good ways, those who've used it in bad ways, and discussing whether it is something that should be permitted under controlled circumstances.
I'll pick that one up too then.
Fair enough. you head up to the main thing as Rendy and this finish this conversation. Well, Malon, if you're not going to get me the books I request in due order, we at the library may have to go to another source to acquire the information we need. I do hope you and your brother accomplish something relatively soon for the next time I come down here. I don't like having my time wasted, and neither does Master Reader Alchrist, okay? You see Malon kind of stiffen up a little bit and just goes, "We aim to please, milady." And turns to you, she goes, please be careful with that fire. I have a lot of precious books in here, and I would not like to see you have to pay to...
Fire? Oh, I hardly noticed, I say as I just put the books down and slide them across.
Unsurprisingly looking at fire, I see. Very well. There'll be 3 gold pieces each.
Very well. And I will very, purposely, just methodically, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He audibly sighs with a heavy
I slide it very slowly over the wood, making sure that there's a little bit of a scratch. Just
he very quickly, and expertly, shuffles them off into his hand and puts them underneath the counter. She goes, "Pleasure doing business with you. Please do come again soon."
yes.
Sorry, I lost all of that, Andrew.
As we're just sort of leaving, and to Rendy, I'm just going to be saying, I don't know why the library comes to here. The service is awful. I mean, yeah, so watch out for the fire. Wow, very observant.
Yeah. The Precious Twins are not the most accommodating of... Wait for it to come back. Not the most accommodating of people, but usually they do acquire the things necessary, and their establishments either side of the sea are a useful link, at least. It's safe to say, unfortunately, myself and others of Elvenkind are the ones who have to deal with them, most of all due to their opinions on other races, shall we say.
It's a really coy way of putting it.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, I need to do a little bit of simple shopping around. You're welcome to come with me, but I don't think it will be much interesting for you. Feel free to take a tour of the city.
I just like to take a little moment just while she's talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And just in my head, to myself. Quite a bright one, isn't she? How familiar is that brightness to us? No, I don't think so. Okay. Oh yes, I'm going to go meet with the rest. Still lunchtime by the altar.
Yes, I'll see you up there. You can't miss it.
Okay.
And she points it out. And even from where you are, it's this large Parthenon temple right at the top of the city, with kind of long, tall, white columns, and a mural of some kind decorating the top, but you can't really make out what it is from this distance.
Lovely.
As I said, useful place to meet, quite obvious from anywhere in Whitecliff.
Well, tread carefully.
You too. And she sashays off into the streets. The rest of you, is anyone wanting to go anywhere, do anything?
I'd like to go antique shopping.
Antique shopping. Very well.
Can't afford to go shopping.
Other people might.
Thrungi's point of view.
I can't afford it either.
I would like a nice bowl.
I'll go shopping with Rambear to look for some newfangled items and stuff.
What kind of bowl are you looking for?
I would like for a gem encrusted bowl, please.
I thought so. For that, you've spoken to each other a fair bit, and Balthazar mentions the bronze bard where he acquired a kind of a restock of diamonds.
Oh, I'm also telling everybody they should check out the werewolf.
The dapper werewolf.
Dapper werewolf.
Well,
yes, he recommends going to the bronze bard. Decent service. A slightly odd fellow, but decent enough and managed to procure the diamonds Balthazar needed. So you head over there with Faendal in tow. And it's a little off the main street, this bronze bard. It's a busy shop, but you enter, there's a slight ting of a bell as you enter the shop. And take a look around. It's a bunch of jewellery of varying types and designs, of various gems, of varying quality, of all different design as well. Like, not one individual person made all of these. They've acquired others, they've made them themselves. It's a hodgepodge of items. There's a large glass counter on one end of the shop, and a bell on it.
Have we seen a bell in a shop before?
I think the Mithril Hourglass had a bell.
Ding! Ding! Ding, 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 ding.
Coming out from the back, a half elf, with like long auburn hair, green cloak, and a pair of spectacles resting on with a cord. Goes, well, hello. You are fabulous, if I do say so myself. How can I help you?
I'd like a really nice bowl, please.
A
Really nice bowl.
Well, I'm sure we can sort something like that out. I don't think I have anything in stock quite to those specifications, but how much time do you have?
How badly do we need a bowl, guys?
I mean, I've got a fancy bowl. I can make it fancier with gems if that's what you're looking for. I just need a little bit of time to work my magic, as it were.
Super glue, they're all the same. Yeah. I mean, it takes as long as it takes to make a bowl fancy.
If you give me an hour, I'm not that busy. You seem to be my first customer today. I can get that sorted for you. It may cost a little extra because I have to make it, but rush order.
Perfectly fine. Ram's gonna sit on the floor.
How much is the bowl that you need? Is it 1,000?
Use 1,000, yeah.
Goes. Call it a 10% markup for rush delivery. Is 1,100 gold suffice?
It's gonna be a really, really nice bowl, right? It's gonna be really nice.
It'll be my finest work, I promise.
Ah, of course. You were recommended to me by a good friend, Balthazar. Lord and Dragonborn, can't be missed.
Ah, from yesterday, he bought a, quite frankly, ridiculous amount of diamonds. But, who am I to decline? I think I am now out of diamonds, though. I probably need to organise a restock. But we have other things for your bowl. And he just starts working on the bowl, not really caring whether you're there or not. Just on the counter, like taking rubies and sapphires and carnets and all of this other stuff off other.
But keep on listing gems. I want to know how many you can do.
Peridots, amethysts.
Oh,
These are Steven Universe characters.
Anyway, and just starts like re-effecting them with clasps and stuff like that. But yes, you do manage to get your spell component of 1,000 gold piece worth bowl, gem-studded bowl for a certain spell. Yes. Balthazar, Nyah, Thrungi, anything?
Faendal came with me. Does he want anything?
Faendal, did you want anything?
No, I just wanted to see what sort of newfangled technology and stuff was in these antique shops.
So within here, nothing necessarily new. But again, at varying points, you may have had conversations this morning with Nyah and Thrungi, who have found magic shops where certain items can be procured.
I was more making an old man joke.
He walks in, sees a Nintendo Switch on the wall.
I'm in an antique shop and everything looks brand new to me.
Fantasy CEX.
And Nintendo DS.
Yes, is there anything else anyone else would like to do?
I will go to the Dapper Wolf just because Rambear was very excited about it, so I'm curious.
So
I'll actually join you at the Dapper Wolf after I've done my book shopping.
you both arrive at the Dapper Werewolf at a similar time, and on the outside it's a fairly nice looking haberdashery with a werewolf wearing a tux as the sign over the door. The door is actually held ajar by a kind of door slot. It's signaling that it is open. You can head inside if you want.
Yeah.
I'll hold the door open for Nyah.
Thank you.
Inside, you see a number of tables on which appear to be numerous different pieces of cloth being worked on, but they're not being worked on by any individual person. They're being worked on by animated sewing needles and scissors and all manner of other dressmaking equipment, just animated and working away like Fantasia. Along the walls are numerous rolls of different materials ranging from colour and texture and everything. As you do enter, a couple of small children come like running out at one point, like weaving in between, like taking small bits of cloth to and from tables to make sure the right things are always where they need to be. And at the back is a high elven man with kind of wispy white hair in flamboyant clothing. And he's just almost like conducting a symphony from the back of the room of all of the needles. So he goes, "Well, hello! Customers this morning, how can I help you?" And his fingers are still like slowly like just dancing in the air.
We have a friend that had nothing but good words about this place, so we were curious.
Well, I'm glad that word of mouth gets around. Who was this friend of yours?
A large bear.
You might know them. They ordered several hundred hats from you.
Yes, they were a fantastic customer. Came in late last night. It was a bit of a rush job, but I must say some of the designs we came up with were fabulous. That beret as well. Oh. Anyway, what can I help you with? It's nice to have...
Beret. Sorry.
Is there anything I can help you, Wonderful Two, with today? I do love recommended customers.
And I do love fashion.
I could tell.
What sort of clothes do you make, or what would you say you specialize in?
What do I specialise in? I suppose I specialise in the fancy attire. You know, when people want to put on a show with what they're wearing. Of course, that show can vary from venue to venue. You might want to put on a show at a ball, or you might want to put a show on down at the docks and catch a suitor's eye. We make sure that people are noticed.
Do your clothes ever come imbued with any special properties?
I mean,
Other
I
than
have magic fingers, and as he does like all of the needles that just like do a little flourish as they finish their stitch line, and then head back the other way. I don't claim to be the most talented of enchanters, but I can work some wonders.
Well, it's really hard to resist temptation, so I obviously must order a dress.
What kind of dress are we looking for here?
Okay, well, you can see my large sword needs retaining the ability to fight while also looking good. Definitely something that will wow people. I don't really go to many events lately. The last one was had a bit of a macabre feel to it. What would you recommend? You seem to be the expert.
Well, that is certainly a challenge that I don't think I've ever quite enjoyed completing before. We're going to have to come up with some kind of contraption such that you can keep your sword on you even while dressed to the nines. And I suppose
If this doesn't turn out to be a Wonder Woman dress, I'll be very disappointed.
And I suppose that we would be looking to accomplish to be able to wear such an attire with both your fabulous golden armor on and off, depending on the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, I do believe we can make use of some wonderful tricks that can give you an adjustable length of skirt on the dress, depending on your needs at the times or preference at the time, such that, when you're wanting complete freedom, you can shift it up, as it were, and make sure you have free movement of legs. And when you're looking for that more demure ball gown, you can keep it long and to the floor. Nothing too hard for me to accomplish. A little bit of needle trickery here or there. I think we could do something like that. And I put in a little trick for you if you're so inclined.
Do tell.
Well, that would be telling. I promise you'll love it.
I am in. Yeah.
Very well. He begins sketching up a design, and I'm going to entirely let you go off on your own and find a Pinterest dress that you like, and we'll go with that. But in line with what Bryn said, it is very Wonder Woman blue dress, and
Sword.
And he has genuinely incorporated a back sheath, specifically designed to hold and be able to draw a sword while looking like essentially a fastening on the back of the dress. I can't promise that this will entirely let you just sneak such large weaponry into classy balls, but might make it less suspicious, shall we say?
It's perfect. I love it.
This work may take a little bit of time, but I can't imagine you're going to disappear off the island without coming back through here again. So, let's say give me a few days, and I'll have it all wonderfully done up for you.
Perfect. And would you half now, half then?
Yes, that sounds entirely fair. Given the materials, the technical design, the added elements, let's call it 50 gold now, 50 gold later.
Sounds fair to me.
Nyah, it's at this point, when you go into your coin purse, you don't remember having that much money. Do a quick count. There's probably at least 1,000, if not 1,500 extra gold pieces than there was last night.
I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna handle with the 50 gold, and I will think about this later. I'm adding to my inventory rather than taking away.
I've already added the money to your inventory for you, by the way, so it was already in there.
Okay.
Just thought I'd let you know. Remaining people, is there anything you'd like to do?
I was also at the Dapper Werewolf.
He looks at you and goes, "Wow, you are flaming."
And, oh my lord, do I have a challenge for you.
I love a challenge.
You claim to be at least a modest enchanter, yes?
I dabble.
What I'm looking for is a hat.
I do love making hats, and I'm sure your bear friend
That's
probably
what-
told you.
Yes. But, of course, one which can survive and preferably contain at least some of this.
Right. It's certainly something I've never done before.
There's a bit of an additional challenge, I say, as I turn to show my side profile, which is just my face at flame.
That is going to be a challenge to say. It may take me some time to come up with a design. I may need to confer with more talented or skilled enchanters. And he gets up like really close and starts like looking at it. And, like at some points he like has to shield from the heat. It's like, is there really? How am I going to get this to rest on there? He goes away and he grabs like a piece of like simple cloth, essentially like a piece of scrap, and he tries to like rest it above the flames. And he does it in such a way that it almost seems to kind of like gently waft on the hot air on top. And he's like, there might be something there, you know? I can make something that's at least heat resistant. And then we just have to find a way to attach it onto you, at least. Do you have horns, Ven?
The sort of bits that are like protruding from my skull, like around, to give the shape of a head.
Okay. I mean, if you're not against us affixing this hat to what's left, I do apologise if any offence is being caused, but I'm sure we can accomplish something. It may be expensive, but I can do my best.
Well, see, the ability to go inside without people commenting on me burning the house down would be worth every penny.
Very well. Let's say this. Because I cannot guarantee such an item will work or be producible, shall we say 25 gold for the investment in research and materials and time on my part. And if I believe I can accomplish the item and do so, we can discuss price at the time.
That sounds very reasonable.
Very well. Well, I shall get started as soon as possible. And please do visit again. And with that, you head out of the shop, away from the noise of stitching needles. Balthazar, Thrungi, was there anything you guys wanted to do?
I'm just going to walk up to where we're meeting and just sit and do nothing. Observe people.
Hunt for something.
What is he on the hunt for?
First of all, though, can you remember how much we agreed for my chain of returning?
Yes. You paid a 500 gold piece deposit, and the overall cost was expected to come to about 2,750. So you owe about 2,250.
Okay, because I feel like I've definitely taken out that.
You would have taken out the 500 already, yes.
That's fine. I'm going to try and find someone who can either make me a second tankard,
Okay.
or who can give me something else that can do a similar job, if not with more variety. Not necessarily of alcohol.
You're looking for an alchemy jug?
Yes, but I'm not stating that fact out loud, if that makes sense, because I wouldn't know about an alchemy jug, I think. I can't decide if he would or wouldn't.
Roll me an investigation check.
Hey Google, turn the lights to full brightness. Okay. 9.
9. After wandering around a little bit and asking, you actually end up back at the Eagles Forum with Padma Prosphelia and asking her. And the conversation roughly kind of boils down to she doesn't have an alchemy jug or that kind of effect, but she takes a look at Tank and goes, well, I mean, it's not a complicated transmutation enchantment. Of course, I'm not possible of doing such a thing. I'm simply a merchant and retailer of goods, but I know many such wizards who would take upon such task to craft such an item. I mean, it's probably going to be a couple of $100 gold just for materials and time, but it's not a hard one. I can probably have it done within the day, provided that people are free.
Yeah, very well.
Very well. Since it is something that I believe I could sell even if you didn't return in a day, no need for an early deposit. I'll just make sure it is here for when you return tomorrow.
Thank you.
Very well.
And yes, I have worked out exactly how many pints of beer I get out of an alchemy jug.
Balthazar.
Mhm.
This temple that you're waiting up by, as I said, it's like the Parthenon for lack of a straight up equivalent. The columns all have kind of swirling wave patterns winding up the side, and the reliefs in marble all kind of dictate various sea monsters and the like. Perhaps most intriguing to you of all things is the statue that's outside the front courtyard, which is of a large mermaid-like woman holding a trident that is innately familiar to you based on your entire upbringing.
Do I know who it is? Or
It's the same goddess you spent your entire life praying to.
okay, cool. Is there somewhere to like sit?
There's a few
Around.
benches outside, yep, and there's like an open foyer and entrance to the inside that people seem to be walking in and out of.
Cool. While I'm waiting, I'll just go and sit at one of the benches and look around at the statue, at the people around, and just sort of meditate, for a better word.
A number of people seem to be going in and out, and it doesn't appear like there's a centralized like mass or anything like that, but people seem to be coming up here for their own devices, entering in, and after maybe half an hour to an hour, you see the same people walking back out again, appearing somewhat refreshed or encouraged, kind of spiritually awakened kind of opinion. It's an excellent view of the city from up here, like commanding views. You can see all the way out to the Warden of the Isle, the entrance to the bay. You can't see the Serenity Library from here as it goes behind a bluff. But yeah, it's a beautiful view, and after the rain of last night and the sun that's out this morning, it's quite spectacular. But eventually you will make your way up to the altar from Teku. You meet Balthazar up there. Those of you who remember having been to Andat are distinctly familiar with the relief of the goddess that's on that statue.
Rambear's going to pull out probably quite a dried oasis lily from Teku's oasis. Does it do anything?
It does not. It's still quite beautiful, even if it has dried up a little bit. But yeah, it's still very nice.
Can I leave it at the altar?
The altar is inside, if you want to head into
Oh,
inside. This
okay.
is just a statue that is outside of Teku herself.
Can I give it to Balthazar to leave on the altar?
Thank you. Didn't know you'd taken this.
I have a few. I have Oasis lilies, so I'm going to say that's at least 2. Just in case it's useful for something.
Does Balthazar head in, or does he just hold on to it for now?
I'll just hold on to it till we've decided where we're going.
Rendy does arrive shortly after the rest of you. Just goes, well, it looks like you're all here. Are we ready to go?
So ready.
Wonderful. In that case, you start heading off. And the path that winds along the cliff, you head out of the city, along with a lot of traffic. And the road kind of diverts into 2. One that appears to head off into the centre of the isle itself, and another which begins to turn around along the cliff edge. Rendy leads you along this side. The path along the cliff is quite narrow, not a precipice by any means. You estimate that probably 2 horses could pass each other on this road, but you definitely couldn't get a wagon down here. It's almost like it's designed to make it, for lack of a better terminology, a pilgrimage, that you're essentially accomplishing this. It's not meant to be an easy passage. The edge of the path is just a cliff, which leads into the somewhat crashing waves of the bay down below. And people are reluctant to head onto the outside as people come back down from the library and you're heading up. But you don't meet a lot of people on the road. It's the odd person heading back down. But coming around the bend, after a couple of hours of walking, the sun kind of moving towards that middle of the afternoon, the gatehouse of the Serenity Library comes into view. Rendy turns to you and just goes, this is known as the Serene Gate. It's carved. She begins to just talk about the library in general. It's carved from sandstone. Twin double gates provide an entrance to the courtyard behind the tall walls. It's got a very eye-catching silhouette. It's not like a library that you would expect. Its walls have crenellations and tall towers on the corners, almost like it is a fortification. But behind which stand tall towers rising with conical roofs, which give it that air of wizards' towers, despite being almost a castle-like formation. She just turns to you and she goes, it is a sight, isn't it?
It is breath.
I never quite get used to it, despite the number of times I walk up to it.
Is it made out of stone?
Yes.
We're not close enough yet, are we?
You're still a few 100 metres away, yeah.
Can I start appraising it?
Sure. What are you trying to garner?
Comparing it to dwarven architecture, trying to find an insult.
Sure. Roll me a... Yeah, make it a history check with advantage, because stone cunning.
Don't get any bonus on this, so I better roll well. Yeah. 15.
15. It's very well done. It is not elven in design at all. It is a mix of designs. Almost like when this was built, it was done by a multitude of races under a multitude of methods. A lot of it is just carved straight out of the cliff, some of which is laid brickwork, some of which quite possibly use some level of magic to accomplish.
Well, I can say for certainty that the elves didn't do that by themselves. Far too well built.
No, indeed. We weren't the only people responsible for the Serenity Library nor Kiron itself. We just are the majority race upon the island. The Serenity Library was a project following a few years following the Cataclysm in order to make sure there was a place to gather knowledge such that it wouldn't get lost in such tragic events. Hence the need for fortifications, as it were.
I'm guessing somehow it's the elves who control most of the knowledge now.
The great readers are of all kinds of races. There is a halfling. The keeper of the tomes himself is a human. I do not. Knowledge is for all. Us elves are no different from dwarves and from gnomes and from halflings for that thirst for knowledge, and we deny it to any race in particular.
Thrungi's grinning now.
You can tell she's a little bit ruffled at the pretense that the library is anything but impartial to that kind of things. Which may have been your intention, I'm just saying that's what.
My intention was to annoy her, so.
Eventually you start getting closer and begin to walk up to the Serene Gate itself. Faendal and Rambear, you're the ones that spot it. Most of all, above the gateway reads a passage written in stone. There is a line in Elvish over the top, quite old Elvish, and then its translation for essentially in Common underneath, which in Common reads, "A beacon to those who seek knowledge." At the gate stands two figures in green and white robes, and they raise their hands and signal for you to approach them. And I think there is a good place to stop.